For most of modern music history, the album was everything. Artists spent years making them, and fans waited for them like major events. Entire careers were judged based on how good someone's albums were. But if you look at the way music comes out today, something has clearly changed. More and more artists are releasing singles, EPs, or constant drops of individual songs, and full albums seem to appear less often. And when they do appear, they sometimes feel more like a special event rather than the normal way artists release music. So what happened? Did musicians just lose interest in making albums, or did the entire music industry quietly change? Section 1. When albums ruled music. For a long time, the album wasn't just an artistic choice, it was basically the only option. During the vinyl and CD eras, record labels needed artists to release full projects because that's what people were buying. You couldn't really sell half a vinyl record, so albums naturally became the center of music culture. Over time, that format became something much bigger than just a collection of songs. Albums started to feel like complete artistic statements. Think about records like The Dark Side of the Moon, To Pimp a Butterfly, or Blonde. Those aren't just random songs thrown together, they're experiences meant to be listened to as a full piece. For decades, that was the expectation. Artists released albums and everything else revolved around them. Section 2. Streaming changed everything. The biggest shift came when streaming platforms became the main way people listen to music. Instead of buying albums, listeners started opening apps like Spotify or Apple Music and pressing play on playlists. That completely changed how music gets discovered. People weren't necessarily sitting down and listening to a full album anymore. Instead, they were hearing individual songs through playlists and algorithms. Because of that, the industry started valuing songs differently. One single track could suddenly reach millions of listeners without anyone ever hearing the rest of the project. That shift changed the incentives for artists. Instead of focusing entirely on large projects, many musicians started prioritizing individual songs that could travel on their own. Section 3. The algorithm. Another reason albums appear less often today is something artists talk about all the time: algorithms. Platforms reward artists who stay active. If you disappear for 2 or 3 years working on a big album, the system can simply stop recommending your music. So many musicians have adapted by releasing music more frequently, even if it's just singles. From a business perspective, it makes sense. Every new release becomes another opportunity for the algorithm to push your music to new listeners. Instead of one big album every few years, artists might release 5 or 6 singles throughout the year. And sometimes those singles eventually become an EP or album later. Section 4. Attention spans and social media. Another huge factor is the way people discover music now. A lot of songs go viral through extremely short clips on platforms like TikTok. Sometimes a 15-second moment from a song becomes more important than the entire track. In that kind of environment, artists start thinking differently about how they release music. Instead of building a long narrative across an album, they might focus on creating individual songs that stand out quickly. Not because artists suddenly stopped caring about albums, but because the way people encounter music has definitely changed. Section 5. Are albums actually dying? Here's the interesting thing. Even with all these changes, albums haven't actually disappeared. Artists still release them, and when they do, they often treat them like major artistic moments. Instead of being the default format, albums now feel more like events. Artists might release singles all year, build attention, and then drop an album as a bigger statement. So the album isn't necessarily dying, it's just no longer the only way artists release music. In a streaming world, albums exist alongside singles, EPs, and constant drops of new songs. The format survived, but the role it plays in music culture definitely changed. Conclusion. The death of the album isn't really about artists caring less about music or the album dying. It's about a completely different music ecosystem. Streaming platforms, algorithms, playlists, and social media, which have all changed how people discover songs. Once the environment changed, the way artists release music had to change with it. Albums still matter and aren't fully dead, they're just no longer the center of the industry the way they used to be. Let me know if I should fix anything, if I missed anything, if you have any questions or anything to add in the comments. Thank you for watching, and bye guys.